Good Wednesday evening, Southeast Texas. Welcome to 12 News Plus. We're going to spend the next 15 minutes taking an in-depth look at your forecast over the next 7 days. And we have had a couple of showers out there, not a big coverage as expected. Kind of was a little surprise this morning as far as the rainfall along the coastline as that front stalled right along the coastline, and it served as a convection point, or an area that helped produce shower and thunderstorm activity because of the sea breeze and really the land breeze earlier this morning. So right now we're looking at fairly quiet conditions, leftover clouds from earlier thunder showers that continue to work off towards the southwest. That's the southwest. This is Mid-County Plumbing Skycam, and looking at a lot of leftover high clouds from those under earlier thunder showers. Otherwise, part of the roofing 911 Skycam network. So things should be winding down over the next hour or two. We don't expect anything like what we saw this morning in the area along the coastline. So it looks like a typical summertime pattern. I've been saying that all day today because this is what I remember growing up around here. You know, highs in the lower 90s here in the Triangle, mid 90s up in the Lakes area, about a 30% coverage. Now, that's what we're going to see more or less. But now as we head towards Friday and Sunday, maybe a little bit above normal, but still pretty close to normal. And it looks like lower chances as we work on into Monday and Tuesday of next week before chances may start increasing once again by the middle of next week. For those who suffer from allergies, let's see, weed pollen is higher today, and so is grass. Weed pollen at moderate levels and weed pollen at low levels. Mold is at moderate levels on your allergy report. All right, so here's our forecast. Again, we should see highs in the lower 90s this time of year. There you go. Looks pretty typical right on through the next 7 days. And again, we should see chances of rain around 30%. We'll be a little bit below normal on Thursday. It bounces up Friday and Sunday before going back down and then back up on Wednesday. And this is dependent upon many variables. We're looking at the wind direction, the wind speeds at 5 to 10,000 feet, the amount of moisture in the atmosphere, not just at the ground, but upstairs. We're looking at any disturbances coming on in, whether or not the atmosphere is capped. You get the idea. This is multi-variable type forecast, and it looks like Friday and Sunday may see a little better chance of rain and thunderstorms in the forecast. So tomorrow, this is my forecast. I'm going with a 20% coverage in about 93. Now this is modeling, and it shows about a 20% coverage. Way too hot tomorrow. That's just not going to happen. In the Lakes area, I'm going to 20% coverage. Highs around 94, light and variable winds under partly cloudy skies. Let's see what the model says. Yeah, pretty close to what we expect tomorrow. So that's pretty close to what we expect coming up tomorrow. All right, so here's the situation, and we're looking at kind of a stalled front. It's hard to pick out. And again, if you look at the clouds, let's see, the clouds are moving that way. That makes sense. And the clouds are kind of moving back off towards the north there. So again, this needs probably to be updated, and it may be the front somewhere around here. Otherwise, looks pretty quiet. A couple of showers in and around southeast of Dam B, and it looks like things are quieting down here in the Triangle. Getting my bearings here. So this kind of changed the last few minutes. As you can see, just some very widely scattered showers. No big deal. From the east end, just south of Evadale and near Vidor, those are, again, moving off to the southwest. Why is that happening? Well, we've got winds just above the surface directing those thunder showers off to the southwest. And that's really been the case all day. Everything has been directed off towards the southwest, same as over into Chambers County. Everything moving off to the south and west because of those upper level winds. And then of course there's the sea breeze right there. So that front's somewhere around I-10 right now. Otherwise, across the state, we continue to watch upper level high pressure back over into West Texas, and that's kind of built our way. The outer edge of it is right over our area, but high pressure in the upper levels right there. And see how the clouds are going up and over that way, and everything kind of rotating around in this fashion, so a clockwise fashion. That's the high. Otherwise, these are the surface features, and the upper level high was what I was just showing you. So not a lot going on across the state today, as you can see, except hot temperatures. And at the lowest level, sea breeze trying to work in. That's where the cumulus field is into South Texas and along the upper Texas coastline. So pretty quiet. I've overlaid the highest moisture, and again, that high is kind of pushed out the deepest or most of the moisture in the mid levels off to the south and east. You can see a little better moisture over towards Mississippi and Alabama. Otherwise, taking a look at Futurecast, this is high-res modeling and it's updated hourly. We'll put this into motion. We're at 7 p.m. and you can see 10 to 20. Boy, it's doing a good job showing those thunder showers in and around Vidor, back over just south of Silsbee and Evadale. And as you can see, that's pretty much it, provided that this model is correct. Otherwise, I expect low temperatures to drop into the low to mid 70s in the lakes, the mid to upper 70s in the triangle by tomorrow morning. So no jacket required tomorrow across southeast Texas. Now, as we work on into tomorrow afternoon, expect high temperatures, lower 90s triangle, mid 90s up in the lakes area. That doesn't show much, so we may be a little wet. We'll go with about a 20% coverage to cover everything coming up tomorrow afternoon. Still going to be hot, humid, and most of us will see dry weather. Now, as I was saying, as we look at the upper levels, we're at about 18,000 feet or so, and we're also tracking moisture in the atmosphere. That's what all this green is, kind of superimpose that on each other. So the high was over further to the west, and you can see the outer periphery of the high, the east side of the high, there's my pencil, is just over our area. And that is why we've seen fewer showers and thunderstorms across the area. There's the outer periphery. That's over southeast Texas, but we still have a northerly flow. But we just don't have a lot of moisture over our area right now. Now, as we head on into Friday, the high weekends, look how that outer edge moves off towards the west. So we get kind of more of a northeasterly flow. And that flow around the high directs another disturbance into our area from the north and east. See that colorization right there, that blob? That's a disturbance. Disturbances cause lift. The atmosphere wants to rise when those move over your area, and we know that clouds like to rise. So more clouds, you get better chances for shower and thunderstorm activity. That's why we track moisture and upper level disturbances. So Friday, we have a disturbance coming on in, but the thing about it is that we have low level moisture, but not a lot of mid-level moisture. A lot of the moisture is off towards our surface and off towards the south and east. So it doesn't have a lot to work with, but we'll go with about a 30 to 40% coverage. Another disturbance and an inverted, what we call an inverted trough, right there. Trough of low pressure moves in, and you can see some disturbances. Maybe a little better moisture moving on in. So again, this is Sunday. We'll go with about a 40% coverage, which is a little bit above normal. Then we'll be watching all that moisture. Look at all that yellow and orange and red. Look at the scale. As you can see, lots of moisture off towards our east, and that's going to be directed because of high pressure off the southeastern U.S. So basically, we've got high pressure there, we've got high pressure there, and where I am, there's a weakness in the atmosphere. So everything's going to be directed into our area, at least through the next few days, before that high begins to rebuild as we head towards next week. So we get a surge of moisture. See all that yellow? That's up the scale. And that is directed into our area, so that means we have more to work with. Could be a little heavier activity, a little better chance of rain and thunderstorm activity as the high, again, the center of that first high is off towards Florida. We want to take that high as we head towards hurricane season, the peak of hurricane season. We want to take that and we want to say, hey, let's put it back over here. That's where we really want the high, because then that would block anything coming out of the Gulf. Back in when Rita hit and when Ike hit, the high was over towards Atlanta. So we don't really want the high to stick around there for a long time, because that would direct anything into Texas or Louisiana. Don't think we're going to see anything the next 7 days. So there's nothing on the playing field, if that makes sense, in the Gulf, I think, through the next 7 days. So that would be through next Wednesday. And that's when we think that the high will begin building back over towards the Four Corners area. So I think we're pretty good for a while, at least through the next 7 days. Otherwise, there's that first disturbance that we've been watching off the southeast coast, trying to fester up shower and thunderstorm activity. But guess what? It's outbound, so we're not concerned with this, and neither is Dexter. This is a no-issue forecast through the next 7 days, as you can see. And this one, as we've been saying, will likely turn and follow the leader and head off towards recurve or curve to the north and east. So it's basically everything wants to follow Dexter as he heads out to sea. So again, as I've been saying, obviously Dexter is not an issue. This never was an issue. And this is not going to be an issue. So we are good in the Gulf of Mexico the next 7 days. Still be interesting as we head towards the peak. We've got long, let's see, we're sitting here at the 6th of August, so we've got the rest of August. That's what, 25 and into September, 50 some odd days that we really need to watch as we head towards the peak of hurricane season. Well, look at that. Yes, the Saharan dust is thinning a bit, but look at this next surge coming off. Hopefully that will help, because what that is telling us is that is very dry air in the mid-levels in the atmosphere. And remember, clouds like lots of moisture. They don't like dry air. So this is kind of a marker for dry air. So if you see a lot of Saharan dust, that's telling us there's a lot of dry air. There's also quite a bit of shear over the Caribbean, which is great, because hurricanes don't like shear and they don't like Saharan dust or dry air. So I think we're in pretty good shape, at least through the next 7 days. On the Gulf tomorrow, looking at mostly smooth seas, around a foot. It is great boating conditions with light and variable winds at 5 knots or less. High tides tomorrow at Sabine Pass at 4:44 a.m. and 12:27 p.m. and the water temperature at 92 degrees. Tonight, a couple of showers this evening through about 7, 8 o'clock, and then we'll go mostly clear. Lower 70s lakes, mid to upper 70s in the triangles. Winds go calm tomorrow. Looking at our rain chances at 10 to 20% coverage. Highs in the low to mid 90s. Heat indices 102 to 105. It's not going to be record breaking, but again, if you work outside for a living, be smart. You know, take those breaks, watch yourself, keep hydrated. Very high UV index, so if you burn very easily like I do, and it seems like about 7 or 8 minutes, you need to use that sunscreen. Otherwise, looking at east and south winds at 2 to 5 miles an hour. Tomorrow, again, low to mid 90s, partly cloudy skies, light and variable winds. Otherwise, as we take a look at your 7-day weather impact forecast, 20% coverage at most tomorrow, 40% coverage Friday. Now that is because we've got the upper level disturbance coming in. We've got a little bit of moisture, no capping, and a disturbance, and again, maybe a little favorable winds, better favorable winds coming up Friday and Sunday because of those disturbances coming in. So again, a little bit above normal, 40% coverage. So the weekend's not looking like a wash.